Hi, folks. Good to see everybody here. We are going to get started with the final showcase featured speaker in just about 5 to 10 minutes. So wanted to give folks that time frame just in case you need to grab more food, use the restroom, anything like that. We'll get started with Jane Golden in about 5 to 10 minutes. Thanks. All right, folks, we're gonna get started momentarily. So last call.
Hello. I love the discussion, but now we're going to listen so we could get our guest of honor up here. So I'm going to breeze through this real quickly. I want to explain because a number of you are not currently involved with Temple. IEI is basically the hub within Temple for anything to do with innovative thinking and entrepreneurship. And we are open to the entire university and the community. And it is a resource. And what I will tell you is people always say, as they're juniors or seniors or alums, I wish I had known about IEI and utilized the resources. So you should all do that. Our mission, and I've highlighted it, is we develop entrepreneurial thinkers and innovators. And those of you who are already entrepreneurial and innovative, we will help you leverage that into success. And at the end of the day, we want to create successful people who can have some control over their economic future, have the standard of living that you all desire. But we're also looking to help you create community good through economic growth and, pardon my French, by giving a damn. Because as we'll talk about this afternoon, we have a major social entrepreneurship focus here. And given what's going on in the outside world with funding, grants, government cutbacks, making progress against the social ills requires individuals who give a darn and who are entrepreneurial thinkers. Okay, I'm not going to go into this other than this one chart. So about 12% of our students start a business while in school or within the first 3 years after. The other 88% go to work either for commercial enterprises or nonprofits. And this is a survey for those of you who have heard the term need gap. We always say introduce a product or service where there's a need that's not being met. There was a survey among, I think, 500 large corporations within the US. And they were asked, what are the 3 things that are critical for you to be sustainable and successful? And innovation was mentioned by 83% of those companies. When they were then asked, are you innovation ready? Only 3% said they were. So if you're innovative, if you're entrepreneurial, there's a real need for you. And innovation isn't a luxury. It's the only way institutions survive in this day and age. Real quickly, undergrad, we have a major, we have minors, only 3 courses, of which 1 could be a gen ed, all you finance majors who are here, etc. And then there's a certificate for any non-Fox students. Again, 3 courses, a gen ed. And I will tell you, as we work with people from Tyler, students from Tyler, etc., one of the comments we get is, yeah, you know, people are impressed I got a degree in Tyler, but what they really feel makes me different is they see I have a certificate in entrepreneurship. So do it. Graduate programs, we have an MS that could be completed in 12 to 18 months. We have our courses both online and in person, so you could fill them, complete them in any way you want. The only other thing I'll say, we do have a graduate certificate, and you can take a graduate course as part of our continuing education program. And I would urge you to do that. We have a brand new course, Entrepreneurship Through Acquisition. It's a very hot area in entrepreneurship. And the only other universities right now offering this are Ivy Leagues, MIT, Stanford. And this is going to be taught in the spring by a gentleman who's been making a ton of money doing this, just wrote a book. I'll call out Professor Tom Edwards of engineering, who introduced us to the gentleman who's teaching this. You made the introduction. And then in the fall, to meet the needs of the market and our customers, we're launching a course on AI-powered innovation and entrepreneurship and how that's impacting companies. And we're also going to have courses in emerging technology and user design. Again, if you want to tip your toe, take a course. By the way, for the undergrads here, we have a 4+1. And I also am happy to say that our graduate program was just ranked number 25 in the country and number 2 in the Mid-Atlantic region. All right. If you want more information, more information on our graduate programs, take a picture. No pictures? You can take a picture of me if you want. Okay, I have one person taking a picture, just trying to make me feel good. 2 people. It's a trend. You're good? You're good. Oh, now we're going 3. I have to keep on waiting. Okay. Okay, all right. We also have an Innovation Leader speaker series where we bring in people who are dealing with topics around innovation, usually from a corporate standpoint. And our first talk next semester is with a senior partner from McKinsey, who's going to be talking about AI and trends in AI and how it's impacting corporations. As you probably know, getting someone from McKinsey is not easy. We have him coming here. There's a reception, and then he's going to do a talk right here. So we will be getting out publicity about this probably starting next week, but put it down on your calendar. We also have working for yourself. So a lot of people have side gigs, creatives, freelancers, photographers. A lot of people have apparel businesses here, etc. A lot of people want to consult or tutor. This will be happening. These are the 5 workshops. I'll give a call out to Carl Kraus, who's been a part of the committee on this for about 10 years since we started. So look for that. All right. Be Your Own Boss Ball is the granddaddy, grandmommy of our competitions. It's been around 30 years. Grand prize winner is $50,000 plus. It's a little more advanced. Today you're listening to preliminary ideas. For the BYOBB, your enterprise should be about ready to launch or have launched. You'll have to have a official designation, whether it be sole proprietorship or a C Corp or whatever, and you'll need to be able to project 3-year financials. Everyone, and I spoke to a lot of people from this morning session, a lot of people who are presenting today evolve into the Be Your Own Boss Bowl, but this again is open to everyone that is or has been affiliated with Temple. We also have 100+ mentors. I think it's 60% of professionals in Philadelphia are Temple alums. And we have well over 100 people who want to help you because Temple has a special place in their heart and they know what a difference Temple's made for them. So contact us, especially Neil, and we will set you up with a mentor. All right. That's the email. So I now want to get to the reason you're all here, which is our guest speaker. So Jane Golden is shall we say, an institution, a monument within Philadelphia, and actually across the world in terms of what she has done. She's founder and managing director of Mural, Philadelphia Mural Arts. And anyone who's in Center City at all has seen the work that she has inspired. She's got a number of awards, but what especially excited us about trying to get her, and she was kind enough to join, is she's beautified the city, but she's done it by focusing on people who have been marginalized, formerly judicially involved individuals, homeless, etc. So she is a true example of someone who has made a massive impact. And with that, Jane, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today. Thank you for inviting me. It's really so much exciting work going on. So we're going to do a few things. Number one, just going to talk a little bit before I start showing the images. We're going to look at work throughout the city and talk about our programs. And then I want to leave time for questions. I love questions. So our job at Mural Arts is to stretch art as far as it can go. And when we think we've gone far, we should actually go further. Some years ago, I was at a program at Harvard, and it was a program for nonprofits from around the world. And the professor said, there's one trait that I see that's consistent and successful, these global nonprofits. He said that they are highly aspirational and very pragmatic. And it made me reflect on us, because I think that is Mural Arts. Like, we believe in the impact of beauty and art, and we believe that art should be everywhere. Art really, it's like oxygen. And for us, it's a matter of equity. But we're also really practical, so that every issue that's on the desk of the mayor and city council and commissioners, they are issues that we are thinking about really deeply. And it's sort of fitting to be here today because of your emphasis on entrepreneurship and innovation. Because I'd like to think that at Mural Arts, we're sort of an incubator, and that we're always in the process of testing new ideas, but then not just thinking about those ideas. It is our responsibility to bring them to life on behalf of the citizens of Philadelphia. This, for me, is not just a job. It's a moral imperative to do right by people who are here. And so it's been a really interesting journey. So how did I get here? So I'm from Margate, New Jersey, from the Jersey Shore. I went to college at Stanford. When I graduated from Stanford, I was a double major, political science and fine art. I was an artist who thought I'd be a lawyer. But my painting professors are like, you shouldn't go to law school. You should paint. And so I was like, okay. They said, just get a job that's boring and paint. So I was like, well, okay. Sort of the advice seemed a little mixed, but I took it. I moved down to LA, and I had a boring job, and I painted. And I was, I was like, oh, I feel so lonely. And then I would drive around LA, and I'd see these beautiful murals everywhere. And I'd be like, murals, that's really what I want to do. I want to paint a mural, because my paintings were very big. So then I read one day, coming home from my boring job, about this organization like Mural Arts in Philly. And they gave out grants to mural painters. And I was like, oh, that could be me. So I called them up. I'm like, I would love to do a mural. I'm new in town. I'm so excited by what you do. They said, we're happy for your excitement, and you could apply next year. So I said, next year? I said, oh no. I said, well, what would I do if, I wasn't past the deadline? They're like, you have to find a wall, hire people from your neighborhood, do a design about a community issue. It's a lot of work. So I was like, okay, fine. So then I thought, I'm just going to do everything they said. So I investigated the neighborhood, and I saw there had been a pier at the end of the street, and the city tore it down. I'm like, I'm going to do a design about that pier, because everybody was sad. Then I walked around my neighborhood, and people were so friendly. I had a little sort of a list, and I said, would you sign my list to work on a mural with me? And people were like, oh yeah, sure. And I'm like, wow, LA is so friendly. I found out later they were all in between acting and directing jobs, and they all had time. So I was like, oh, but they're so nice. So anyway, so then I walked down the street, and I saw this great wall. I'm a wall hunter. I hope you are wall hunters too after today, and you can call our office and let me know if you see a good wall. And I saw this great wall. It was big, on the way to the beach. So I go and I knock on the door, and the person answers and says, can I help you? I'm like, yes, you can. My name is Jane Golden. I'm new in Santa Monica, and I really want to do a mural on your wall. And he goes, that's fine. So I said, no, seriously, I'd like to do a mural on your wall. He goes, fine. So I said, so you're going to let me, a stranger, do a mural on your wall? He goes, that's right. I said, well, do you want to see samples of my work? He goes, not particularly. I'm like, what's up with this? I'm like LA is so excessively friendly, so and trusting. And so I said, well, I can assure you, I said, like, I just want to tell you about myself. I'm a graduate of Stanford University. And he goes, whatever. It's like, okay, unimpressive fact. So then I'm like, okay, great. Will you sign my form? It was a highly legal document. He gives me his name, Ronnie Bruce, give Jane Golden permission to do a mural on my wall. So like, thank you. So I go back and I call the city of LA. I'm like, I've done everything you said. Would you reconsider an application from me? They said no, under no circumstance. So I'm like, oh. So then I drove downtown. I dropped off my application. Then I called them every day for months. I'm very tenacious. We've made it through 6 mayors. We wear people out. So after a few months, I get this call. May I please speak with Jane Golden? I'm like, this is she. They said, this is exactly what they said. We hope we never hear from you again. I'm like, oh my, who's this? And they're like, this is the LA Mural Program. You have the grant. I was like, I have the grant. And the grant was like $300 to do a wall 20 feet high, 100 feet long. So I'm like, oh, that's so great. Then I thought, oh, I've never done a mural. I was sort of disingenuous on my application. I said I did murals all over Stanford's campus. Yikes. So anyway, so then I'm like, I said to my friends, what do I do? They said, you have to call the city of Chicago and get this mural booklet. I'm like, that's very big, the city of Chicago. Narrow it down. They're like the Office of Arts and Culture. They have a public art group. So I called them. They mailed me this book. It's before email. Oh my goodness. Yikes. And so I got the book and I still have it on my shelf. I underlined everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a mural. So then we did this mural. And then halfway through the mural, there was a story about the mural in the LA Times. And this person drives up in a fancy car and he's in a suit, which was unusual in LA. And he gets out and he goes, I'd like to speak to Jane Golden. Very stern. I'm like, that's me. I was on top of the scaffolding. That's me. And he goes, my name is, and he said his name, Herb Bolger. And I can't believe I remember that. He goes, that's not familiar to you, is it? And I said, no. And I'm thinking, I'm in trouble about something. This is not good. And so he said, he just paused long enough to make me really worried. And he goes, I own this building. So I was like, and then I look up the street where the person who signed my form was, and he goes, he's the tenant. I'm like, yikes, there's a difference. And so I was like, do you like it? And he goes, I love it. And I was like, thank goodness. So then at the end, when the mural's almost finished, people are like, you need someone to, you should have a ribbon cutting ceremony and have someone famous dedicate it. I said, look, I'm 22 from New Jersey. I don't know anybody famous. They said, Jane Fonda lives down the street. So I walk down the street. I'm totally covered in paint. I knock on her door and she answers. I said, oh, hello, Jane Fonda. I'm Jane Golden. She said, I know who you are. I've seen you painting and you have all young women on that crew. I love it. You've been moving that scaffolding around and lifting paint. What can I do? So I said, would you cut the ribbon at our mural dedication? She goes, is there anything else I can do? Now I would ask for a donation, but then I just said you could bring friends. So I figured she was popular. So anyway, so she came, all these people came, they cheered art. And I realized that standing on that corner in Ocean Park in Maine, I started talking to people, strangers, about their lives, about politics, about community issues. And I thought theoretically that murals were important because of their social impact, their impact on history. But what I didn't realize is that people love art. It's why we hang like paintings in our home. It's why we go to galleries and museums. And I thought this is really about reclaiming public space and making it relevant for all. And I sort of got it in such a profound way. I was like, I'm not going to law school. I'm going to paint murals. My parents are like, oh no. So then I started doing one mural after next. And then I got really sick. I have lupus. And I was told I wouldn't live very long. So I was like, oh, because when you're young, your mortality, it's like you don't really deal with it. And so then like this nurse gave me hope. Don't listen to the doctor. You can do it. You can overcome this. So I came back to Philly, came back to Margate to be with my family, came up to Philly. I was going to the hospital for treatments. And I'm reading the Philadelphia Inquirer, and I keep reading that Philadelphia is a very exciting time right now. There's going to be the first Black mayor, Wilson Goode. And everyone's excited. And then I read more articles about this Wilson Goode. And it said he was going to start an anti-graffiti network. And it occurred to him that a lot of kids who were writing graffiti loved art. And he was going to have an art component. I was like, that could be my job. So then I sent my resume and a letter to Wilson Goode's office. I said, Dear Mayor Goode, I would be so honored to work in your administration. My name's Jane Golden. I did this work in LA. I worked with young people. And so then about a few weeks go by. Chris, I don't hear anything. I don't call them, oddly. And so my father, I had gone to the movies. My father, I come home and he's like really excited. He goes, you won't believe who called tonight. I'm like, who? He said, Wilson Goode. I was like, what? The mayor of Philadelphia, he goes, they want you to call tomorrow. The person who runs arts and culture said that it's very important you call tomorrow. So I was like, great. So I start calling the city of Philadelphia at like 6 a.m. I'm like, where are they? Where are they? Answer. So I get them on the phone. I get Oliver Franklin on the phone, the head of arts and culture. And he goes, you're not going to believe this. I know your boss in LA. And I'm like, great. And then I'm thinking, ooh, is it great? Because I'm sort of a pest. So I was like, he goes, I called her already. I said, oh, what'd she say? He said, well, she said, I'm going to tell you two things about Jane Golden. One, I said, yikes, here it comes. One, she will drive you crazy. She's the most tenacious person I've ever met. And two, you should absolutely hire her. Whew. So they hired me. And so here's our so back in the day, so I worked for anti-graffiti for 10 years. And honestly, everybody, it was like getting 3 graduate degrees in how one works in communities. I had the blessing of working with community organizers. They were so important in my life. They said, Jane Golden, you don't know much about Philly. When you go into neighborhoods, you make no assumptions. You do not have answers. You only go in with questions and humility. And Anti-Graffiti was a really interesting organization because there was something called the Amnesty Pledge. And let me go back here. And so graffiti writers would sign a pledge where they would swear they'd never write on walls for the rest of their lives, which we knew wasn't really true, but it was really a way in. And then this program, I mean, while anti-graffiti, it sounds so like it's anti-graffiti, but it was really a youth development program because we had money. There was so much money because it was federal, state, and city money to employ young people. In the summers, we were able to employ 3,000 kids painting murals year round. We had hundreds of young people working, and we could line people up to go to community college, to Temple, to art school, or to a job. And we were highly supported and very strategic, and we worked with young people for a really long time. And I want to tell you something that I was completely inspired by the young people I worked with. I was stunned by the level of talent. All the graffiti writers had these black books. When you opened up the books, they had an uncanny, intuitive sense of design and color and anatomy as if they'd gone to art school. And I was like, so then I would talk to them about working at anti-graffiti, and people are like, well, we don't want to work at anti-graffiti because you couldn't use spray paint. So I was like, well, you know what? Like, life has constraints. So, I mean, I couldn't teach you about using spray. You're all really good at it. But you could learn other things. And I said, so where do you think you're going to be when you're in 20, by the time you're 25? And they said, well, we think we're going to be like Keith Haring or Futura or Lady Pink, like really famous artists. And I was like, only a handful of artists in America will make it every year who can rely solely on their work. So what do you think you'll be doing? Because most of them had dropped out of high school. And so they said, well, Jane, to be honest with you, we think we'll probably be dead or at Graterford prison. So I said, so let's change that script. Let's change the script. This is a big city mayor who's put money on the table to work with you. And the fact that you can't use spray, so what? If you want to use spray and do side jobs, do that. And anyway, how many of you are getting paid when you do a spray project? Nobody, because you don't have contracts. I'll teach you how to write contracts. I said, I'm not here to be punitive. I am supportive. And it was interesting because our common bond, which was a huge bond because I'm in touch with so many of them today, we became like family. It was our mutual love of art. And I thought, after I met them, you know what? These guys will be great mural painters. They don't mind heights. They work outdoors, right? And they love art. It's like a winning combination. So I went to Wilson Good and Tim Spencer. I'm like, we need to do murals. And they were like, fine, but you also need to run art programs. That's why you were hired. I'm like, I know, and we're going to do it. So we also had art shows. There's graffiti. And one of our first murals was Dr. J. I don't know if you know this, but this was such a beautiful mural. It's at 1235 Ridge Avenue, 1234 Ridge Avenue. And this is actually on parachute cloth, and it's embedded on the wall with acrylic gel. This was painted a really long time ago, like 1989. And if you go by there now, this is what it looks like. When we started painting this, you know what people said to us? Those walls, they're going to get graffitied, and the kids you're working with are going to get in trouble again. There were lots of naysayers. And I would look at the naysayers and I would say, look, if we're wasting our time, we'll find out. It's not your time. It's our time. P.S., like mind your own business. We think we're on the right track. So we're going, and I would say to the kids, hold your heads up. We're not going to listen to these naysayers. We're paying no mind to them. So then we started doing these murals, and guess what happened? No one wrote on them. And then we started having these programs at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, at different community centers. I invited the mayor to come one night, and like all the kids we were working were doing still life drawing. He was like, this is amazing. I'm like, it is amazing. And it was amazing because young people in this city, like what I feel then, I feel today. Like, I think that sometimes we're just okay with programs that are really mediocre when it comes to our young people. And that's unacceptable. And we have to be excellent. And we have to offer kids and young adults and every opportunity and option possible. Every opportunity and option possible. And less than that, let's not talk about it. And so we flew into action. We started taking young people, like we went to the Museum of Modern Art, the Metropolitan Museum. I contacted like all these well-known African-American artists in the city, and they would meet us at PMA every weekend, and we'd go through the collection, and then we do art. Like we were like, we are going to just kick the door open and offer everything to young people. And you know what? It was like we saw them fly, and it was so fantastic. And then what happened is, so anti-graffiti closed in 1997, and I thought to myself, I'm going to go to law school. Ta-da! So I applied to law school, and I got in. Temple. I was going to come to Temple. So then my brother's a lawyer. So he said, I don't think you want to go to law school. I was like, what do you mean? I took the LSAT. I got in. So then he said, I think you should run an art program for the city. So I said, well, I mean, that there isn't one that exists. He goes, well, I'm telling you, you should go start one. Go talk to the mayor, Ed Rendell. So I was like, well, that's an idea. So I went to see Ed Rendell. My friend was his scheduler. So I had her sneak me in. I said, look, I would like to start a community-based public art program based on what we did at anti-graffiti. And he said, well, far be it from me as a lawyer to talk you out of law school, but I think that's a great idea. I'm like, you do? I was so shocked. And then he said, where do you want to be? So I came prepared. We said, the Department of Recreation. And because there had been budget cuts, there were only a few of us left in the little art division at anti-graffiti. So he agreed. He transferred us to the Department of Recreation, and he said, come up with a name for yourself. So it was like when you're little and you have a spy club, you're the president, vice president, you're our treasurer. We put our heads together and we say, what should we call ourselves? The Mural Arts Program. Yay. And we had like, you know, a little bit of money. And then we like report to work. And the recreation commissioner says, we're so happy you're here, but we don't have any space for you, but I'm going to give you an empty floor. It was this building at like 16th and the Parkway. So we're like, we're artists. We love empty floors. So we found this rickety furniture and we sat around the table. We're like, we are the Mural Arts Program. We are a pro art program. We're not anti anything. So what are we going to do? We're going to open our doors to all kids. We're going to hire emerging and established artists. 3, we're going to make sure art is everywhere. And in some way, everyone, I never look back. So then one of our first walls was the Peace Wall in Grace Ferry. All these tensions between blacks and whites. And we have this idea, we're going to do a peace mural. Ed Rendell's like, that is crazy. That's never going to work. But you know something? This dedication was the most integrated event that had happened down there. People to get to this point, people slammed doors in our face. I worked very hard with a deputy mayor, Lillian Ray. She's black. Obviously, I'm white. We were a good team. Went door to door, heard that people wanted hands. We actually took a picture of people's hands and projected on the wall at night. And it built goodwill. And I'm not saying that what we do is like a panacea for everything that cities struggle with, but I am saying that I have been a witness to the catalytic role that art can play in the life of the city. And then this one, Broad and Spring Garden by Meg Seligman, beautiful. And Jackie Robinson. So right away, like one after another, beautiful murals. And then mural art started to grow. Every mayor, we were able to figure out like, where are our allies? Where are our friends? What can we do? What's the potential? How do we mine the power of art? So today we have 57 full-time employees, 250 artists employed every single year. We are so happy to be a supporter of the creative sector. And 25,000 people in our programs, that's our reach. And then I'm going to take you now through different departments. So art education, we have programs for 2,500 young people, 11 to 18, rigorous programs. So you can come in at 11. We hope you stay till you're 18. And 65% of our teaching artists started out as kids in our program. We love pathways. And young people do their own work. They work on small murals, and then they get assigned to big projects. And big projects, what do I mean? Like this one. Have you seen this at 11th and Sansom? The artist is Amy Sherald. When we connected with her, she had just done Michelle Obama's portrait. She's a rock star in the art world. She took kids to Hoboken, to her studio, and introduced her to gallery people, to artists, to curators who look like them, with the message that this can be your life. And then this one, Flight, 18 stories tall. The artist, Tatiana, she was a graduate of UArts 25 years ago. We were her first job. And now she lives in New York, and she's a well-known artist. And it's called Flight. She did a series of 3. It's about the impact of flight, the role of flight in African-American literature as people move from oppression to justice. And then this one I love, La Boricana. And Edgardo, the artist, he is a famous, he does these beautiful graphic novels. And this young person is she's fighting for environmental justice. And so the kids in our program did a graphic novel, and then they did that beautiful mural. Tariq Trotter from the Roots is on our board, and that is Roberto Lugo, who actually he went to Tyler, and he loves the way what the Roots, their influence on music, and he's a ceramicist, and he's trying to sort of really get rid of the idea that ceramics are just in the Eurocentric tradition. And so he wanted to do a portrait of Tariq, but because he's also a ceramicist, we did this on the side of the clay studio. And Roberto was able to bring kids to Tyler over several years and put college in their sightlines. Abbott Elementary, this one is amazing because we were featured on an episode of Abbott. It was so exciting to see the people there from Mural Arts. I mean, it wasn't us, we were actors, but it was exciting nevertheless. And then ABC and Disney, they commissioned this mural on Hamilton, where, because the day the Abbott episode aired, Quinta Brunson sent out a tweet that said, "I love mural arts. It's one of my favorite things about the city. I worked on a mural when I was in 7th grade." And we're like, "She did? Where'd she go to school? Where's the mural?" And we were like detectives. And we were like, "Okay, it's Hamilton." So then we moved an art education site here, and it's a tribute to teachers, beautiful mural by Athena Scott. And Quinta Brunson came to the dedication, and she said, "I've loved murals ever since I've been 10. I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you." So that was exciting. We always have a big student art exhibition, really beautiful. If you get on our mailing list, you'll come. Porch program is our partnership with the Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services. Who do we work with? People struggling with housing insecurity, substance use disorder, trauma, mental health issues. We started this program in 2008 because the commissioner said, "You know what?" And this really goes to that you have to be innovative, that you have to think out of the box. The commissioner said, "You know, Jane, we send bureaucrats into neighborhoods. We say, we're here from the city. We're here to help you." And people go, "Wait a minute. I've received no services. I've received bad services." So he took a chance working with us, and he partnered us with clinicians and therapists. And we went into neighborhoods, and we really were able to move the needle. We had really good data from the Yale School of Medicine, and we got a grant from Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and started doing major projects like this one on the side of a methadone clinic, where people would say to us, "I no longer feel like a drug addict." I'm quoting them. "I feel like an artist." So as people are changing the built environment of our city, they themselves are changing. And look at this one. This one, we worked with shelters all over the city and gave people looms, and they wove stories of their lives. And here in the heart of Kensington, we did a series of buildings, and we did poetry in English and Spanish. And then our same-day work program called Color Me Back is beautiful. Other cities have same-day work programs. You know what people do? They pick up trash. We say, no, people deserve better. And so we provide social services, access to CareerLink, and we do beautiful works of art like this. And we have a site downtown underneath the concourse and in Kensington. And then we work with the Asian American Pacific Islander group out of the mayor's office. And we've been doing beautiful work around the city, getting to green. You can take the bus to green places in the city. We have maps translated into many languages. This is Roberto Lugo's work. This is so beautiful. And this you can find in parks throughout Kensington. And here, look at this is guns that were melted down, and we made a sculpture at a piece, and we created a peace park in Kensington. It's beautiful. And this one, we did a big project on suicide prevention. This is by James Burns. We worked with people who've tried to commit suicide and those who lost loved ones to suicide. We did this project 10 years ago. We lost that mural to development. We were able to pressure those developers. We made them feel really guilty, and we got $100,000 to do a new mural. There was no way. We went to that zoning hearing. I'm like, we are not taking no for an answer. And we had all our constituents there. And the great thing about the project, as sad as it is that they created a community that lives on apart from mural arts. So art has so many things about it that's catalytic, that's wonderful and exciting and inspiring. Restorative justice, too many people are incarcerated in our country. We work with people at the state prison, the county jail, and with people coming home. And this is, I just want to say, our recidivism rate of 10% is very exciting to us. The national average is 65%. And we did a series, we started working in the state prison in 2002. We did a big project with crime victims, victims advocates, and the men in their class called Healing Walls. There's a documentary about it. It was a fantastic project where people got to try to understand another person's perspective. And then we started doing work. We work at the state prison on parachute cloth. We paint there, we roll it up, bring it out, and put it up around the city. And so the men feel that this is a way for them to make amends. It connects them with their family, with their loved ones, and with their communities. And this is beautiful. This is painted by our reentry program called the Guild. And that one is as well. So our Guild is the reentry program. That's our foundational program. We teach all kinds of skills. And then you go into the rec crew. And in that program, we're transforming recreation centers. And this one you might know at 15th and Cherry. It's really beautiful. It's about deconstructing the Declaration. And then we have Swim Philly. We're trying to improve the way swimming pools look. And then we did this big project last year in prison and with our reentry program by the artist King Saladin, who's fantastic. And then public art and civic engagement. We're busy bees. We're working everywhere. Sometimes we work with theater artists and writers and dancers, choreographers, because the sky is the limit. And so this one I love. It's about the freedom fighters and Cecil B. Moore, very important project. And then we did a project with the Center for Black Digital Research out of Penn State. They are like digital strategists. They design curriculum. I didn't even know about the colored conventions because when we learn history, so much is left out. The colored conventions are the forerunners to the NAACP. Giants came out of that movement, and we want people to know about it. Martin Luther King, he spoke on this corner at 40th and Lancaster in 1965 to 10,000 people. In front of 10,000 people. It's an iconic image. The mural sat there for many, many years. The developer called me one day and said, "We're building in front of this mural." And I'm like, "Not so fast." Like, I have no power to legislate anything, but I say that. And then I was like, "You have to talk to the council person, the state senator, and the community." And so then he goes, okay. Then we said, "Look, maybe your new building, you could have a wall for the mural, or you could fund a new mural." And he decided that he would make a space for the mural. So this was really a victory that this mural came back. And then the Dick Allen mural. Dick Allen subjected to so much racism in his life. And this was commissioned by the Phillies. And it's really beautiful. Broad Snyder, try to take a look. And this is Ndijeka, an artist who lives in LA from Nigeria, but went to school at PAFA, so loves Philadelphia. That's in Southwest Philadelphia. And then Civic Views was an exhibit of what people see who work for the city out their window and their thoughts, their struggles, their dreams. And we had the exhibit in City Hall Courtyard. And Uplift Justice by Shepard Ferry. If you go to Love Park, you can see this. It's really beautiful, really inspiring and timely. And then in partnership with Temple, since we're here, we've done a few projects with all of you. I thought you'd like to see them. Here we have The Magic Hour by Brad Carney. And this one is beautiful by Allison Dilworth. And then Tame, we always love working with Tame. And we did a big tribute to hip hop. And then 2026, we are working really hard to make sure that we're shining a light on artists and communities during this year. So we're doing a gateway project. We're doing all these new murals through the city. We're doing a printmaking by the people. We've been doing printmaking workshops in libraries. We're going to have a giant mural made up of all the prints. We're doing a highway beautification project with the mayor's office, a tribute to Boys to Men, a Liberty Bell project, 52 Weeks of First, a project about Puerto Rican identity in 2026. We just did Francis Harper, an abolitionist and poet. There's a great wall on 76 right by 30th Street with all this graffiti. We're doing something there. LGBTQ plus heroes in Center City. We're working with a man. Green Grid, the tribute to Questlove will be exciting. We have a new partnership with the Philadelphia Museum of Art and Float Lab. This is a floating laboratory performing arts space. We've been working on this for 10 years. This will be docked at Bartram's Garden. By day, it is a laboratory. By night, a performing arts space. It's really phenomenal. It was designed by the head of the architecture department at MIT. There's nothing like it anywhere in this country. And that's it. So our impact is on individuals, on communities, and by extension, there's a huge impact on the civic life of the city of Philly because we've turned Philadelphia into an outdoor museum, but one that has resonance and connection with the people who live here. We always say that art ignites change. That is for sure the pleasure and the honor of doing this work. Thank you.
So Jane is retiring as managing director of Mural Arts Philadelphia in July. But as you could tell, she's not really retiring. She's going to just, was it persistence or pain in the butt that they described you as?
Tenacious.
Tenacious. All right. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Okay. So we're going to take questions. If you have it, just raise your hand. And Jaden will give you a mic because we want everyone on YouTube to also hear.
Hey, my name's Timothy LaSmith. I love your story. I just wanted to kind of see where your mindset came from, how you were able to stay in contact with people every single day and never really give up and move, across the country to see like a whole different perspective. Because that tenacious ability for you to go after what you want and get it, that's rare, and I just kind of wanted to see what drove you to do that and be that type of person.
Thank you. That's a great question. I think, I had parents who really told me, like, really taught me early about, like, not just giving back, but that art could serve a social purpose. I really think anti-graffiti changed my life because I met like extraordinary community leaders who were pushing the boulder up the hill really alone, like without resources, but with their own tenacity. And then young people who were amazing, who like were able, like I was feeling sorry for myself because I had lupus, and like every young person I work with had their own obstacles they were coping with, and it was just a point of giving me great perspective. And I think in some way we bonded. I say around our mutual love of art, but in some way we all felt like outsiders who were really going to band together and do something. And even my former boss, Tim Spencer, like he was really fighting the establishment. I mean, Philly, the city looked different when Wilson Good was mayor. It had changed. And I think that I remember, I'm going to tell you a very telling incident. We were called in by the art commission because they were questioning our aesthetics, which meant they really didn't like the fact that we were working with kids. And Tim Spencer looked at them and said, well, I don't understand even what you're talking about. We answer to one entity alone, and that is the community. And the person was silent. And then Tim said, if you have a question, you can call the mayor. And he said, would you like me to give you his number? And he leaned over and he pushed the phone towards her. And everybody was silent because no one had ever stood up to them. And he looked at me and he goes, I didn't think she was going to make the call. We're out of here. And I'm like, I'm following him. And so, but it made me want to, like, he spoke truth to power and he was bold. And like, and I was just like, it was like a sort of, when I say it was a privilege to be surrounded by people who cared so deeply, that's what made me feel like, you know what? Like, this is like, do your work, Jane Golden, with integrity and like, learn, be a student of everything that's happening. So when we became Mural Arts, by the time that happened, like, even though I thought I wanted to go to law school, I probably would have been a public defender, but I just felt like, those first few years at Mural Arts, it was like, oh my God, people love art. People deserve art. People deserve beauty. People deserve opportunities. And if we can play a small role in bringing things to reality, then we're going to do it. So thank you for that question.
That was inspiring. Really, that was incredible. Greater Philly, other cities, are you thinking about expansion?
Well, we've had a Mural Arts Institute that's worked with cities across the country and the world. And I will definitely continue to do some consulting with cities. There's really a big interest from other cities. Sometimes it's about, blight, or it's about like social services, or it's about education, or about reviving downtown areas, or what do we do? We want more artists to work. And so other cities call us for a variety of reasons. We've also worked in, internationally. It's been really exciting.
Excuse me. Thank you for your work. I was a former teacher in North Philly, and I was lucky enough to work with a student who did a mural with the Murals program, who was a very talented artist, super quiet, but like we went to his like dedication, and it made him feel so special and seen. That made it just really like moving for us to be able to be there for him. So thank you for those opportunities that you're providing our students. My actual question is, you've been doing this for a long time. Is there, this is a hard question, is there one particular or a couple particular murals that mean anything very special to you, or that like is your favorite for whatever reason?
I think I have so many. Like Broad and Spring Garden by Meg Saligman is very important to me because I think that changed the perception of how people saw murals, because it was so bold and tall and dramatic. And the lead figure, Tamika, she's a poet, and she wrote a poem called Common Threads. That's why it's called Common Threads, because it's about connecting all of us. And it had such power. So I always think about that one. I think Healing Walls, from the point of view that it really changed like people's perceptions. Because when the victims and the victims advocates and the men in the class all came together to figure out designs, there was so much acrimony and everyone wanted to claim that they had more pain. And it was really easy for everybody to judge the other person. It was only when they started to paint together in this giant auditorium at the prison that people started to really talk. Because at every table, there were a few victims and a few men in the class. And the power dynamics changed because the people who knew how to paint were the men in the class. So that was like, people were like, oh, could you show me how to use this, green paint? I need to know what to do with this small brush. And then they started to really talk about their lives. And like, it was sort of life-changing because the men at the class, they decided to devote a lot of their efforts to really healing the community. And the victims and victims advocates decided they wanted to give back in different and more profound ways. So I was able to see right in front of my eyes how the creative process could really get people to change and see another person's perspective. Something very hard for us to do. Thank you.
Hi, Todd Chief. I'm teaching social entrepreneurship here, and I'm beyond thrilled that you're here, and I'm just blown away by everything. And one of the things we were talking about in our class recently was the challenge of having all these different missions. You want to have social impact, you want to have environmental impact, you want to be financially sustainable. And this organization is amazing in how it's grown, how entrepreneurial it is, how many partners you all have. And I'm wondering, maybe continuing off the last question a little bit, the last response a little bit, how do you attract all these partners to work with you? And do you find that you have tensions between these different goals? Like the funders want one thing and that's not the most impactful thing for your vision? Or how do these things work out in your experience?
Well, I think we had to go up against some resistance for some years because people would say to us, look, is this a criminal justice program? Is it social services? Is it education? And my answer was, actually, it's all of it. It's all of it. And we're looking at all of it through the lens of art. It's us, right? The art lens. And what happened is I was very empowered by, I heard there's somebody who writes about cities. And he said, in the 21st centuries, the organizations that will go further faster are those that embrace the nuance and refuse to be defined in a particular way. And then he looked up at me and he said, like Mural Arts. And I thought to myself, that's so interesting because I was battling with, is this mission drift? But I could make a case for you, every program we're doing, why art matters and why art is the catalyst and why it's different than other programs that are all doing good work, but it's different. Like for a lot of our constituents, working in public space matters. People's feedback. This is great. This is beautiful. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Did you do the mural down the street? That kind of the loop that runs in people's heads that has said negative things, it counters all that. And you start to build up in people a sense of hope and resilience that is sometimes very subtle, but it really matters if we're talking about individual change. When we're talking about communal change, the very look and feel and fabric and texture of our city matters. And so you loop back to that creative process in public space that's important. And so it's really our job, and it's such a great question, to really make sense of all these different entities and at the same time to not be seduced to really just bring in more things, right? You have to be very disciplined and opportunistic at the same time. I think it's a balancing act. Great question.
Hi there.
Hi.
I think there's some legends that may not be true because when you're as famous as you are, like people write that they heard something and then someone embellishes it and someone else. But is there a story that is at least a little true about you making a mural that overnight someone defaced with graffiti? And then the next day you would paint over their graffiti and the next day they would paint graffiti on it. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Well, I don't know that. I do know that one of the first murals that we painted on the Spring Garden Street Bridge, someone did deface it all.
That's the one.
And then he came to talk to us and
that
the
story.
kid said to me, that's Pez. And I was like, oh, no. And I picked up a bucket of green paint and I was like, Pez, how would you, I was like, would you like to be defaced? And he was like, no one told me she's crazy. He goes, I came to apologize. So I said, okay, you really want to apologize? He said, I really want to apologize. So I said, the best way you can apologize is to volunteer. And then he volunteered for a while. And then he worked. And he worked with us for 7 years. And then he finished at Temple. And now he is a very high level person in a big communications firm in Denver, and is married with 2 kids. And I love him, and I'm in touch with him all the time. And so we had a rocky start, but a very good end. Yeah, no, I was, I'm somebody who I really like understood the graffiti writers. Like I understood even I understood their inclination to make a mark. And I just felt like being really overly prescriptive or didactic was not the way to go. But by being sort of opening my arms, like really, I was very clear. Look, if you write on a wall without permission, it's like breaking into my car. I can't condone that. But if you find a legal wall and you want to use spray, like after we became Mural Arts, it was like we use spray all the time now. But I just felt like I just want them to have every opportunity possible and then be able to make choices about what they want to do. Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna materialize from outside. Look at that. I got you, Alan.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Can I ask one more
Oh, sure, of
question?
course.
For people here who want to get involved, possibly in art as a way to social good, but just on having a positive impact in the community, what would you tell them to do?
I would say go to our website, Mural Arts at info. No, and I would say so you can volunteer. You could, we do have huge paint days where we're always looking for volunteers. You also could just look at jobs that are open. We also, if you're an artist, you could send jane.golden@muralarts.org. I'll leave a few business cards here. You could reach out to me with your portfolio. We have a great internship program and a muralist training program. So there are different ways to get involved. And go to the website's beautiful and just, look around. We also take a tour. We have great tours. We have walking tours, bike tours, and trolley tours. Okay.
One more round of applause. All right, I'm going to try and do a couple of things in the next couple of minutes. First and foremost, I'm going to thank Jane one more time. And wait, Jane, don't go anywhere. We have a little good bag for you. Thank you so much. I'll take that back. Thank you. I will turn my lavalier mic off and go back to this one. So I'm going to ask the finalists in the social impact focus area to make their way to the creativity lab / green room. If everybody else could just stay seated for just a second, just so that those folks can get there, that would be great. And then I'm going to ask our 3 judges to make their way up here so that we can get them situated as well. And then what I need everybody else to do is to pull out those raffle tickets, because Alan Kersner is going to raffle something off. Hang on, don't let me lose you just yet. And then our awesome volunteer, Maya, from the Entrepreneurial Student Association is heading back. But for those of you that weren't here in the morning, we have some Innovation and Entrepreneurship Institute giveaways. We have some giveaways from Mural Arts. And so take out your tickets, and Alan's going to call some numbers out. And Maya is going to be in the back there, is going to help you pick one prize to take home. So I'll turn it over to Alan.
Okay. So this is too exciting for me. Everyone have their tickets out? All right. So if your number's called, go back and see Maya and get a gift. 511270. Anyone? No one, huh? 511290. All right, we have a winner. Oh, back that way. The prizes are in back. Five one one two seven three. No. This is my training to go be a bingo caller at a retirement home. So, which is my next career. 511272. All right, we got another winner. Five one one two three nine. Oh, look at that. All right. All right. We got three more. 511264. 511252. 511288. 511241. Okay, if your number wasn't called, you shouldn't be back. The two gentlemen who just went to the gift area. If your number wasn't called, you do not win bingo. Did I just say 511241? All right. Five one one two seven one. 511274. You? All right. So that's it for now. Stretch your legs for 5 minutes, and then we'll kick off the social impact track.
Okay. All righty, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the afternoon portion. Maybe I should stand on stage. That'll make me more. All right, everyone. I don't want to do the camp counselor thing, but I'm happy to. All right, if you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. If you can hear me, clap 4 times. Okay, all right. We are going to get started with our afternoon portion of the presentations. For those of you that have been here with us throughout the day, first of all, thank you, much appreciated. The pitches you saw in the morning were had an innovative idea focus, and so revenue generating was kind of the main crux of what they were. While the pitches that you will see this afternoon can have some revenue generating portion and a focus, their main crux is social impact. And so you will see a lot of things addressing things like food insecurity, access to healthcare for underrepresented or underprivileged populations, things like that. So we are really looking forward to the presentations that we have going on this afternoon. I think he just left. I don't know where he went. So this is not me. This is Alan. Alan is here. He comes. Did you want to do a welcome, or you kind of already did? Okay. Alan gave me the blessing to welcome you all, so thank you all. We will go through a couple of tracks today. So you will see presentations from an undergraduate track. Those are current undergraduate students here at Temple. You will see presentations from an upper track. Those are the ones represented today are graduate students or alums from the Temple community. So really proud of all of the work that all of our participants have done up until this point. But, sorry, wrong transition. One of the most important things, there should be some QR codes on your tables. There's also, we will put this up throughout the presentation. The People's Choice is a way that you can impact this. So we do take a vote. So save this. If a presentation really speaks to you, please vote for them, and we would love for you to engage with us that way. This would not be possible, this day, this challenge, all of what we've done without committee members. There are definitely some committee members here this time around. So if you are here, your name is up on the screen. Can you raise your hand? Thank you all so much. Can we give them a round of applause for being here? These are folks that helped us get speakers like Jane Golden, who you just saw, work with some of our students in encouraging them to submit, be great partners across the university. You can see we have great representation across a bunch of different schools and colleges. We also had guest speakers. And so prior to each competition that we run, we like to do some workshops so that if you've never submitted a business plan, if that's you in the audience, great, listen up, because we do workshops that prepare you to submit a really good business plan. And so we think about things like finances. We think about things, a little bit of marketing. Where do you find an idea? How do you come up with an idea, right? That can be a big thing as well. We had some expert mentors. These were folks that volunteered their time at the last minute. I am very much like a lot of our submitters in that I like to wait until the last minute to get something done. So these people were available if people had last minute questions about their submission before they hit that submit button. So really thank them for their time as our folks were getting to the finish line. We also had a fantastic crew of reviewers. These were people that saw those initial submissions, looked at the rubric, graded, gave some really great feedback that we will be sharing with all the participants. So thank you to the reviewers who helped make this possible as well. And then lastly, our pitch coaches. These were people that, again, worked with our finalists to say, come do your pitch in front of me. Let me give you some feedback. Let's talk about maybe moving this slide here. Let's focus on this a little bit more. So really great opportunity for them. If your name was on any of those like last 4 slides that I went through, can you please raise your hand and be acknowledged? I know some of you are here. We just give all of them a round of applause. Thank you all to everybody that helped us get here today. I missed this last time, so a couple of housekeeping things. If you do need to step out and take a phone call or use the restroom, there is a hallway back that way. If you wouldn't mind just exiting back that way, you will kind of go back along this wall and come out this door right here. That way we're just not interrupting the flow of the presenters. And I think those are my housekeeping things. A very important group of people has just made their way to the front. So I, of course, forgot my sheet. So I will maybe give them a better introduction later. But you can see Dustin Kidd from he was a professor of sociology, Janice Moore Campbell from our CSPD, our graduate division over at Fox, and then Sheetal Singh from Ben Franklin Technology. Can we thank them all for being here? They are the ones that are going to, I mean, you all are going to listen, but they are going to listen to our pitches. They have a score sheet in front of them. They are going to make some notes about strengths, areas for improvement, all that sort of stuff with all of our presenters. And then they are going to go back and deliberate, and hopefully later this afternoon, not hopefully, yes, this afternoon, they will come back with a decision on some prizes. So we are thankful for them to be here today. I think that takes us to the start. There's one more for the People's Choice in case people need to scan it again. We'll come back to it. But we are going to actually start with our upper track. So again, these are graduate students as well as alums. And the first one kicking us off is an alum from the Fox School of Business, and that is Shannon. Shannon, take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Amsbecker. And when I first became a parent, I started to wonder, how is anyone still finding the time to make dinner every night? It turns out that they're not. 60% of Americans struggle to find time to cook, and 80% are too exhausted after work to make a home-cooked meal. And if you're a working parent like me, the answer to the what's for dinner question is often a daily cycle of time, money, and stress. So I developed Potluck, an AI-powered meal-sharing platform that turns the stress of dinner into shared community care. Potluck matches busy parents and caregivers with others in their local communities to batch cook and then swap meals, saving time, money, and reducing stress. When individuals swap with people that they know, the neighbor down the street, the parents from school, we're able to rebuild the communities and trust that we've declined over the last 5 decades. Now I know what you're thinking. What about food safety laws? Potluck is a technology and coordination platform only. We don't deal with the sale or transaction of food, and users sign off on liability before participating. And as for whether or not people will actually add this into their schedule, the truth is people are already doing this. Think church potlucks, neighborhood barbecues, meal trains. This kind of shared food preparation has always existed. Potlucks makes it simpler, easier, and more consistent. And our 2 community pilots prove that people are enjoying this experience and that there's demand for this platform. What's exciting about this market is that users are willing to spend up to $768 a year for a solution like Potluck, which equates to a $10 billion US addressable market. And whereas other alternatives on the market solve just one part of the problem, Potluck tackles it in its entirety. Planning, coordination, cooking, all with a socially supportive community. Now, one of the biggest questions about a model like Potluck is, can we generate enough user density? And the answer is yes, because we're not starting cold, we're starting where trust already exists, just like we did with our community pilots. These community hubs gives us a one-to-many launch strategy, which gives us a higher user acquisition or lower user acquisition and a higher concentration of users in these communities. We're seeking advisors and collaborators in food safety law, technical architecture, and community partnerships. As we prepare to launch our MVP, we, of course, are looking for non-dilutive prize competition funds, but we're designing our pre-seed raise to really validate the strongest revenue model for Potluck. As of right now, I am a solo founder, but I'm not building alone. And I am the right founder to build this because I've lived the pain points that Potluck is built to solve. When it comes to Potluck social impact, we solve many different tangible solutions for reclaiming unpaid domestic labor hour and turning it into shared relief. We can rebuild local trust and connection through foods by every swap creating these micro communities of care. And we reduce waste, reinforce household level sustainability, and create more mindful consumption. Just like Airbnb and Uber reimagined travel and transportation, Potluck is reimagining mealtime. And I hope you'll join us in building that future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Judges, question. Wait, hang on.
Thank you.
People pay a lot of money, premium, to avoid social complexity and to avoid depending on others. How do you intend to address that?
I actually think that we're starting to see a trend of that shifting. I think, there's the loneliness epidemic. People are craving social connection. This is meant to really be, one, it solves a pain point, but two, it gives you that door to open up to a new friendship or to say, hey, maybe I can't do it all alone. I do need that support. So I think we've been conditioned and socialized to be individualistic and not need that, or think we don't need that support. But in reality, we're social creatures. We do need that support.
Yeah. You mentioned church potlucks as an existing model. Have you thought about a possibility where events like that could also tap into it and say, we've just finished an event, please stop by, we have food for X number of people or something like that?
Yeah, I haven't actually thought about it post-event, but we actually do have community event planning features within there, because we also want to not only be attractive to the end user, but to the community hubs that we're partnering with to really be able to facilitate increased engagement and participation among their members. So we have those features to kind of plan exactly what you're saying. So we'll look into that. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Shannon is an over planner, which I love, but that means I have to scroll through all of her appendix slides in case there were any questions that she could answer with her slides. So one more round of applause for Shannon. Thank you all. Okay, now that I have my cheat sheet in front of me, I can give you a proper introduction to our judges, and this gives them a little bit of time to jot their scores down. So Dustin Kidd is Temple's Director of General Education, as well as Professor of Sociology in the College of Liberal Arts. He has completed an MBA at Fox, so happy to have you. Working on it, completing. And he teaches in both intellectual heritage, gender, sexuality, and women's studies. And he is also advising in the Doctor of Business Administration program. So thank you, Dustin, for being here. Sheetal is a director at Ben Franklin Technology Partners. She brings operator experience from both the corporate and startup world, which makes her a great fit for here today. Shaping digital strategy at Google, scaling a growth that Propel, a startup B series, and is now leveraging those insights on the investing side. So again, thank you, Sheetal, for being here. And Janice, I know I'm not supposed to have favorites, but Janice gave me my favorite bio. So she's the Senior Director of Graduate Professional Studies at the Fox School. The best advice she's ever received: give generously and you will reap abundantly. And her advice to others: be so good they can't ignore you. I love that. That's awesome. So as they're jotting down their scores, I'm going to bring up our next presenter with credibility, and that is Debo Giatti from the Fox School of Business.
Thank you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Debo Jyoti. I'm a first-year PhD student in the strategy concentration in the business school. So this is just an idea and not as developed as some of my previous presenters, but this stems from my decade-long experience working with nonprofits back in India and with the academia now here. So basically, as we all know, we are going through an AI age where all of the internet seems to be falling short for training data, and there is an incredible need of more and more data. In that, we also see that if you keep feeding AI the same old online data or AI generated data only, the model sort of collapse after a while. So there is an increasing need to bring actual real data from ground so that the models can become better. Also, if we zoom into few sectors in particular where I'm focusing on, in education and research, there is ask for more and more societal relevance, that how what we're doing is more relevant, and as well as for causal evidence via experiments or so on. Similarly, with nonprofits too, there is an increasing ask from the donors that you bring evidence for the impact, right? Whatever you're doing, bring some causal evidence. But at the same time, from my experience working with many of the nonprofits, they at the same time have a lot of beneficiaries that we're working with, and on that they have a lot of data. And they have multiple research problems that they don't know how to address. But they don't know typically whom to go to with this. Similarly, nonprofit beneficiaries might be part of the gig economy already, and they have always need for extra income. So I'm just adding 2+2 here. And many people have already done that in some or other ways. In fact, there are platforms like MIT has JPAL, which connects nonprofits with in the researchers, but these are typically restricted to superstars in the development economics field. Similarly, there is Amazon MTurk, which is open to much more people, but there are data quality issues there. I mean, if you run some experiment there, it is difficult to distinguish whether bots are giving answers or you are getting some actual people there. Then there are solutions like Survey CTO, which provide extensive text solutions, but there is no matchmaking here. What I am trying to propose via Credibeta is that we create an online multi-sided matchmaking platform, bringing all these people together, wherein I onboard nonprofits first, and here we focus only on credible nonprofits who have worked with thousands of people over decades, and we rely on the credibility, but they also have multiple unserved needs, which includes the research problems. So they post that first, then the researchers can view that in the platform, and they can be matched via that platform. So basically, it is a win-win for all these stakeholders. And the data quality is sort of certified by those nonprofits. So nonprofits have something in it here, and the researchers get credible data. And the beneficiaries can earn additional income. So that is my idea.
Thank you so much, Subhajyoti. Questions?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I know you're pretty early and are kind of trying to figure out this idea, but have you circulated this with like researchers, nonprofits to see if this is something that they're interested in? If you can just like go into what your research has been around this problem, that'd be.
Actually, I have, like from my limited work experience, like working with nonprofits, I interacted, in fact, with many nonprofits, quite credible ones in India, who would always say, we have a lot of data, but we don't know what to do with it. Or if we could find somebody credible just to find. Then with researchers, even some of the professors sitting here, I've discussed with them, and everybody sort of likes the idea that there should be some platform to get credible data to do experiments and all, because everybody's sort of fed up with Prolific and Amazon MTurk.
Do you think there may be the chance that nonprofits will feel there's an exploitative factor?
I mean, there might be, and there might be some privacy concerns too. I understand those completely. But at the same time, I mean, they have many things for which there is a need, strong need. Like, first of all, there is a lot of pressure to generate new sources of revenue. That is one part. So this can be an additional source of revenue for them, right? I'm not saying that they do it out of their charity. They do it out of charity. There is a business model here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. One more round of applause.
Thank you.
All right, we will give the judges a minute to jot down their scores. We're actually going to try and move some things around. Matthew had a scheduling conflict, so he is going to go later on. But we are happy to welcome Mabinti, who is going to talk to us about Zifa Health.
I'm good.
From the School of Social Work and a current graduate student. So whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Mabinti Yila. I'm the founder of Zifa Health. In 2018, I called 911 to help my cousin. Instead of help, he got handcuffed. My cousin survived, fortunately, but most people don't. In fact, 60% of all fatal police encounters involve people with mental illnesses, and 20% of 911 calls are mental health related. Our system is broken. Cops are overworked. Hospitals are overwhelmed. And mental health calls are treated like crimes. We react. We don't heal. But imagine a world where 911 calls are treated with care, not handcuffed. That's the world that Zifa Health is building. Zifa Health is a cloud-based platform that connects 911 dispatchers with trauma-informed, culture-responsive clinical social workers. By doing this, we help clinicians, we help law enforcement safely respond to mental health crisis, and we match our callers with culturally shared, culture-responsive clinicians who share their identity as well as their lived experiences. Unlike our competitors, we don't have a one-size-fits-all approach to mental health or crisis intervention. First of all, our tech connects people, not replaces them. And because we're trauma-informed,
we understand that everybody has unique needs when it comes to trauma. And working with EMTs, we directly, working with the EMTs, the EMT systems, help arrive faster and saves more lives. And we cut costs. Litigation costs alone are $300 million in police litigation. With Ziva Health, we can not only achieve less police involvement, lower emergency room use, less fatal encounters, and greater community trust. So far, we developed a pilot and partnerships with University of Maryland, as well as began relationship with public safety administrations. The market is ripe for this opportunity. $50 billion total addressable market. A crisis market is $4 billion, and with the obtainable market of $220 million. And cities are under pressure to shift from care, to shift from enforcement to care. Ziva Health is powering that shift. We're looking for mentorship as well as institutional connection, and we're looking for $25,000 to help us pilot our innovation. Help us turn 911 calls into compassionate responses so that no one should have to choose safety over survival, especially when they need help. With Ziva Health, we can build a system that heals, not harms. Thank you.
Great job. Time for a couple questions.
In your pilot, did you come across any like regulatory or policy issues that kind of stood in the way that you had to kind of?
Yeah, so we're still working that out. So we're in the pilot development, right? So we have the design. So right now, I'm currently, as you speak, I actually came from Washington, D.C. I'm working with the UDC's social work department to help develop that aspect. Because when I designed the actual app, I actually had a social worker build it. But talking with EMTs, I wanted to make sure that our pilot is also, responsive to their needs. Because one of the things that they complain about is that they're getting a lot of new technology, but no one asked them how, what are the things that they need in a pilot and they need in a technology. So I'm very spending a lot of time doing research and development. That's where, my partnership with the University of Maryland has been super helpful because they have been really not only helpful in terms of technical assistance, but putting me in connections with people. I'm also a Terp, so that helps.
The impact, it could be very, very positive. 911 culture is extremely entrenched.
Yes.
What's your path for breaking down those barriers?
So I'm always approach of business impact, right? Really being having worked in the federal government, especially as a person worked in strategy and I worked for a guy who was the program manager for the largest Navy contract. I kind of learned how to talk to bureaucrats and kind of talk. And one of the things that comes out is that it doesn't matter if you're talking to somebody who works in 911 or someone who's working for the Navy, what's the business impact? Cost savings. And so for me, my business case is you're gonna have less litigation costs. And in the amount of time that you're allocating to deploying police officers in something they don't really want to do, you could have a social worker doing that and have less litigation and then less emergency room visits, because part of the strategy here is that this is kind of a preventative approach. We're saying if John is in a mental health crisis, instead of hospitalizing him, let's treat John here and now. Let's understand John's needs and treat him in the way he needs to be treated now.
Thank you so much. One more round of applause.
Oh, okay.
All right, hang on one second, folks.
Wait out there and then they will call you.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, folks. Let's give one more round of applause to all of our upper track presenters that we saw so far. Again, hopefully we'll get to hear from Matthew in just a little bit here. Putting up the People's Choice Award again. We are, if maybe, can I have Maya, are you free to go back there one more time? Awesome. Thank you so much. We're gonna do one more drawing. So get those raffle coupons out, and we will draw one. And let's see. 511-243. Anybody 243? Gosh, this is like getting turned down on a date. All right, 511-262. Anybody 262? Oh, 243. All right, we have 243. Does anybody have 262? Okay, 243. You can head on back and go grab one more prize. Thank you. All right, and now we are going to move towards our undergraduate track finalists. So again, these are all folks that are current undergraduate students here at Temple. The first one that we are going to hear about is from Ava. She is at the Fox School of Business, graduating in May. Very exciting.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hello everyone. How we doing today? My name is Ava LeBlanc, and my idea for the social impact competition is Formula Bridge. Oops, wrong way. So today I'll be talking about an issue that has been on the uprise as of recently, which is the inaccessibility of infant nutrition and resources. So there are 58% of infants under the age of 6 months that are exclusively breastfed around the world, and then that number trickles all the way down to 27% right here in North America. Oop. And on top of that, there are 45 million children in the world that suffer severely from malnutrition. And you might think this only happens in like depleting countries, but right here in the US, there are families that are struggling every day accessing simple necessities like baby formula. Um, I'm sorry, guys. I know that we've been seeing an uprise of the cost of living as of recently, but mothers not only have to deal with this, they also have to deal with formula shortages and government programs either being shut down completely or underfunded. And to be honest with you guys, the damage has already been done. There are mothers right now that are without formula, and there are babies right now that are hungry. And this is why I created the solution, Formula Bridge. It's a simple but powerful website that it connects mothers to free and discounted formula. It has location services on it that are available at all times in real times. And instead of contacting 5 different organizations, mothers would only have to, click one button and get her resources. So right here, we have the statement of activities. If we take a deeper look into our financial impact, we could see that it costs $1,800 to feed a baby annually. If you take $210,000, we can feed 117 mouths and support 117 mothers. This is more than just a platform. This is a movement. No child in this nation should go hungry. It could be a sustainable solution ready to grow. So with your support, Financial Bridge can expand across the country and even the world. The sky's the limit. Thank you.
Good job, Ava.
That's great. Thank you. As a mom, I can feel for this. This is definitely an issue. I think right now you usually have to go onto government websites to see where you can get formula. But how are you thinking about, or have you thought about how you're actually going to reach moms and make them aware about the website?
So definitely going out into the community and conducting, just asking the community, maybe interviews and doing some surveys around. And I know I've been talking to some like local hospitals. My sister, she's a labor and delivery nurse. So I've gotten a lot of information about the different mothers that come in and what they need and what they take away, from their experience at the hospital. So all of that data that we collect, we um, basically, that's how we get to resolving the issue, I guess.
Ava, what are your thoughts about areas where there's a lack of physical availability of formula, uh, attendant with a need for the formula?
What was that again? Can you ask that one more time?
There are likely to be areas where there's a high need and a lack of physical and lack of resources, lack of formula.
Right.
Right.
So a lot of the low income areas, especially like, well, my experience being around Philly, there's a lot of single mothers out here that don't have like the different resources or are not even aware of the different resources that are out there, like SNAP and WIC. And yeah, just to like even get involved or not even involved, but like to apply for these different programs, um your income has to be like lower than a certain amount. So even that's kind of tricky. So yeah, I've been like finding out about all these different like caps on um what people either know or like how people can get involved in the programs that we have right now.
Thank you so much. One more round of applause. Good job. Of this.
Do you need this spoon? Okay.
Oh my gosh, look at that. And sources cited even better. Next up, we have another, or I'm sorry, before that, Tommy, did you and Janice get to next? Sorry, we just have one. Perfect. Okay. Just want to make sure we don't get audited with our judging and we don't lose any ballots. Yuritsa from the Fox School of Business is here to talk to us about her idea. So take it away.
I just want to give you guys a corrected flow chart. Hola, mi gente. My name is Yuritsa, and I am the founder of La Cosecha Jibara. By show of hands, how many of you guys have a favorite treat that you can easily get delivered to your house? Right, see a couple. Well, I also have a favorite treat, which is the Puerto Rican coconut lollipop. But unlike you guys, I can't get it easily delivered. And that's because authentic coconut lollipops are often made by farmers and their families in rural Puerto Rico, which is inaccessible for me here in the States. But that's where La Cosecha Jibera comes in, bringing 100% Puerto Rican food products to the US. So between the years of 2018 and 2022, there has been about an 8% decrease in the amount of farms in Puerto Rico. And many of these farms that closed down are small family-owned farms. And their loss contributes to the high unemployment rate on the island, as well as the high percentage rate of families that experience food insecurity. Currently, the way that these issues are being addressed is through federal organizations and their grants. But these federal organizations do not provide these struggling farms with the resources and the expertise needed to expand to new markets and increase their profitability. That's where La Cosecha Jibara comes in. We will partner with these struggling farms and use their produce to create a 100% authentic Puerto Rican product and make snacks and gourmet honeys and all like that, package them in a premium subscription box and market it towards 20 to 40-year-olds who live in major US cities like New York, or even our own Philadelphia that has a large Puerto Rican and Hispanic population. And right here, it might be hard to see, but this is just a basic flow chart of kind of how we want to structure the business, and go about our phases of operations. Here we can see what we want to use as KPIs to track our impact with metrics like the partner retention rate, which track the initial amount of partners that stay with us after a set period. Generally speaking, our competitors will be other food-based subscription box companies, federal organizations, and existing nonprofits. What differentiates us from the food-based subscription box companies is that we work in smaller markets and we use products from local farms and small businesses as opposed to well-established brands. And like all businesses, we have challenges, but that's okay, because how we're going to address it is through providing value to our customers, balancing affordability using efficient operations, and being prepared for natural disasters with things like emergency funds to help our partner farms. And together, we are going to bring resilience and security for the future Puerto Rican agriculture. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you. Questions from our judges?
So, love your energy. How are you going to ensure that the farmers are fairly compensated, given that this is really about branding? And
Yeah, so what we want to do is that when we enter into contracts with the partner farms, we're going to make sure that we're in constant communication. Most of these farmers will speak Spanish, of course, but that's okay, because people like me who speak Spanish, we're going to make sure that we communicate things clearly, make sure what the process are about, and like we're going to calculate our labor costs and the cost of production to make sure that we are giving the money that they need and deserve.
I was going to ask about is there a gap between, it sounds like there's great products available. How do you create the market for those products? In other words, making sure that folks in mainland US know about those and start to realize like what they're missing out on and get excited about that.
So what we want to do is that first we want to market through social media, email, text. Then we want to bring little samples. We can offer like a free trial version first of the subscription box, make sure they try the products, see what they like, see what they don't like. It could be completely free in the beginning stages. And then we can like go on. And we also have to demonstrate to them that you can get some versions of Puerto Rican snacks in like major grocery stores. But if you want that authentic taste that you can only get through handmade products or products that were freshly from the farm, from the crops, you can only get it here.
Great job. One more round of applause. All right. Next up, we have Legacy Guard, and Rohan is going to tell us all about that. There you go.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Rohan, and this is Legacy Guard. So think about this, a true story. A grandma paid off her home after 20 years, and her son went to go refinance the property. When he went to go check the deed, her name wasn't on the deed. This isn't rare. Millions of Americans across the country lose billions in equity on their stolen or lost deeds, wills, and benefits. With a forged ID and a $10 notary stamp. With a forged ID and a $10 notary stamp, a $300,000 home could be stolen in hours. When a homeowner passes away, the system breaks down. If the deed isn't updated, the title is tangled. If there's no will, heirs can't prove ownership. If there's no probate in place, someone can steal the property. That's why we built Legacy Guard. First, the families confirm their address. We verify ownership with public records. The verified deed gets locked in our vault with military-grade encryption. We monitor for suspicious activity and generate a certificate of ownership. We estimate with 100 homes protected, we can preserve 25 million in community equity. This allows families to stay in their homes for generations. This verifies deeds and creates economic stability and generational wealth. We're turning confusion into protection. The goal is simple: stop the loss before it happens. Legacy Guard is proving that tech can defend generational wealth, not just track it. We're here to build safer, more secure futures, one deed at a time. Thank you.
Rohan, thank you so much. Questions from our judges?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. So is the product or the solution that you're providing like verification on the deeds? And then what is it like a stamp? Can you just explain a little bit more about the solution?
So what we're doing is basically we are verifying the deeds with public records and we are holding them in a vault. This allows for the deeds to be in a secure place. So if the family member was to, say, pass away, their son or their daughter or family members can inherit the inheritance that are for them. I think it's really important, especially in underrepresented communities where there isn't a lot of ability to have this kind of, maybe people don't have knowledge or like the money to have a system like this. So being able to keep it at a low price and available to families that can now access their records instead of having them in file cabinets where they could be lost.
This target market historically avoids, in the past, has avoided all kinds of estate planning. How do you intend to help them adopt a digital platform when they have historically been extremely suspicious?
So first, we have to build trust. I think you have to start by allowing people to have access to it and be able to put trust in it. I think that building trust is the most important thing. And then from there, I think we can scale it. And when you build that trust, you allow people to now believe in your idea. And I think if we can get that, then we can continue to scale this, not just in Philly, but all across America.
Thank you all so much.
Oh, here you are. Yes.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right, our final presentation in the undergraduate track, before we hopefully circle back and finish out our upper track, is Sustain SIP. That is from Ashmead, who is a Fox School business student as well. Boy.
Thank you. I share definitely a lot of the concerns that you mentioned around refillable containers. But what happens if somebody has it, uses it, and then throws it away? Like, let's say their campus gave it to them, and they're like, "Great," but they don't really take it seriously, and then they throw it away. What's the kind of next step or the impetus to make that not happen? But they use it once and then throw it away after that. Okay. Okay.
So carrying it, remembering it, cleaning it.
Time for one more. Yeah.
What about the, okay, I forgot my question actually, so stop. We're good. We're good.
Hi, thank you so much. All right, we're gonna try and hold off just a little bit. I got a message from our last presenter that he is parking. So if I could have. So we're gonna try and give one more. Before we do that, let's give one more round of applause to our undergraduate track presenters. Really impressive to see all of the great things that they've come up with. There's the People's Choice Award again. It looks as if our judges have handed stuff in. Let's do a couple more raffles and see if we can hold off for just a little bit more. All right, get those tickets out. Let's see. All right, I've got 511251. 251. Oh, no. 251. No. All right, we'll come back to that one. All right. 511, what about 249? 249. No? Okay. Man, I am just striking out here. I know we've got one here. What about 250? 511 250. No? Okay. I need to get one winner. I can't strike out this bad. All right, 511. Here we go. It's completely different. 285. 511 285. Thank you, Todd. Much appreciated. Todd, head on back and see Maya. All right, let me see if I can track down our final presenter. Just bear with us for 1 second, folks. There's not a podium, but you will be mic'd up with a lot of their. All right, folks. So Matthew, what he did just get here. Inevitable. Yeah. So Matthew Goldberg. Okay. All right, we are ready for our final presentation. made great efforts to get here, so we thank him for that. Let me pull up the correct slide. So Matthew Goldberg is an alum from the College of Liberal Arts, and he is going to talk to us about Inevitable.
I don't need, okay, I'm hooked up. Is that what's happening? Okay. Okay. Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm Matt Goldberg, head of strategy at Inevitable. Let's see, how's that? Yep, here we go. So Inevitable is a digital companion for end-of-life planning. It helps adults and their families reflect on their wishes, organize essential details, and share them securely. The idea here is that you'll, instead of confusion, you'll leave clarity. So let's just keep going. So you can't really see this. Okay. Anyway, I'll just go straight to the problem here. So what's the problem that we're solving? About 1/3 of adults, of US adults, do not have a clear end-of-life plan. This leads to families having to make high-stakes decisions in the dark. You know, people want to plan ahead, but the tools that they have are fragmented. Empathy.com, it only comes in after someone dies. Trust and Will, which is a digital platform for planning logistics, sort of lacks on that human element. And death doulas and hospice care are deeply valuable, but they're really hard to scale. As you can see here, Inevitable kind of bridges those gaps. It moves the conversation upstream before crisis appears, so that, and at the same time, keeps everything collected and easy to share. Okay, so we don't approach planning and legal tasks as a checklist. Instead, we are reimagining this process of storytelling with the guiding principle that every life is a universe. And this becomes tangible in the design of the user interface. We have a system of constellations. These are themed clusters of prompts that are based on specific end-of-life planning categories. Yeah, so what happens is that users will tap into a constellation, and in that constellation, they'll be given a series of prompts where they can reflect or record their responses. Basically, they're filling in the stars of their own particular universe. So AI transcription makes it easy to capture spoken reflections, while progress tracking shows how their universe comes together. So there's sort of an easy project tracking tool that's within the platform. And then family members can collaborate, contribute, and access this information securely. So this results in a living record that blends emotional and practical clarity, so people can be present and less burdened and better connected and during end-of-life situations. So our users include adults planning ahead, people facing illness, and family caregivers. I myself am a new parent of a 6-month-old, and my dad is currently in the hospital with a cardiac event. So yeah, I wish we had something like this to plan in advance, not just sort of the logistical and the financial details, but also the softer side of things, sort of what their wishes are in terms of end-of-life care. And we're in the midst of building partnerships with hospices and senior living communities and employers because the documentation and calmer families helps everyone involved. So the idea is that we would generate revenue through a one-time fee per profile with optional family bundles. And there's also an institutional plan. for like licensing of organizations if they want to set up something for a bunch of people.
I think that is our time.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's my time. And thanks for listening.
Thank you. We are going to move, Matthew, stay up there. Matthew, stay up there.
Oh.
We're going to move to Q&A from our judges, about a minute or two of that.
Well, thank you for the presentation, and I hope your dad has recovers and has a speedy recovery. But could you tell us a little bit about the go to market? Like, who are you targeting? You went into a little bit who you're targeting, but like, how are you actually going to raise awareness about this?
Right now, we're developing the MVP. We are currently doing user research with people who are doing end-of-life planning. So they're going through the prompts and sort of stress testing, the database that we have. We're also working with end-of-life caregivers to make sure that we're treating these topics with sensitivity. The idea is kind of like a multi-pronged approach where we'll work with end-of-life, like death doula organizations, and we'll begin with some pilots with different like hospices and community care centers. At the same time, we're planning to like build a wait list with just direct users who are in this space, and it'll sort of be a dual kind of fork model. And yeah, we're sort of building that we're generating that excitement. We have like some social media profiles, and our founder is currently going into the sort of death doula certification. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Matthew, thank you so much. All right, the judges are going to finalize their, sorry, that was a lot of feedback. Hold on. The judges are going to finalize their tallies. They are going to pass their sheets back. I'm going to ask everyone to just stay seated for just a second while the judges move back. Alan looks like he maybe wants to say something. Yes? No? Okay, he does. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to Alan.
Just for those of you who are hanging in there, I want to apologize. You were supposed to have 50 Philly pretzels with a variety of dips, but DoorDash claimed they delivered them and did not. So instead, we do have some in the refrigerator, some leftover lunch. How do we pronounce it? What type of sandwiches are those? Banh mi's. So if you are hungry, go into the refrigerator and you could just fantasize about the pretzels.
Thank you, Alan. If the judges are done, they're going to move back into the conference room actually with Alan to begin their deliberations. I'm going to ask everyone, thank you, Jaden, to stay seated for just a second while they move. Let's give one more round of applause to all of our finalists today. Those from the upper track, and then again, those from the undergraduate track. We will come back in a little bit here with the People's Choice Award after the judges deliberate. So we will be back with you in a second. We'll take a break, have a little bit of a snack, and then we'll do some more drawings in just a second. So be right back, folks. Did anybody not get a raffle ticket when they checked in? No? Okay. If anybody is a Fox School of Business student and you need formerly FLDP, now Fox Forward points, you can scan the QR code here for attending. That will give you some credit for being here. So thank you. All right, well, hang on, let me get the presentation back up. All right, everybody, we are gonna get started with our award ceremony. What I first need is all the finalists to make their way back to the Creativity Lab just so that we're all coming from one place. I see we have another photographer here. We're gonna do awards like right here if you want to get pictures. Perfect. All right, so thank you all again for coming. Much, much appreciated. Lynn, do you still want to talk? Okay. Before we get started with the award ceremony, I did want to invite one of our committee members, Lynn Anderson, to come up and share something exciting. So I'll let Lynn talk.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Neil. I just wanted to make you guys aware, since a lot of you are entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs or people in the social impact world, that the Fox School has long been a member of the Philadelphia Sustainable Business Network. The Philadelphia Sustainable Business Network, if you're not familiar with it, is a network of triple bottom line businesses that was founded early 2000s by Judy Wicks, the entrepreneur who founded the White Dog Cafe. And then she actually even went further and kind of grew Philly Sustainable Business Network to be part of something called BALI, which is the Business Alliance for Local Living Economies, which are all the different cities and their local economy networks. So Sustainable Business Network's been going on around 25 or so years now. Fox is a member. They host lots of events to help train and educate triple bottom line entrepreneurs and small businesses. At our peak, I say our because I've been on the board a couple times, but not anymore. But we have some other Temple folk on the board right now. At their peak, they probably had like 450 members in the Philly area. I think now, what are they maybe, Todd? Maybe a couple hundred? Sounds about right. Yeah, a couple hundred members now. But anyway, you guys, if you want to go to any of their events, you should let me know. I'm a faculty member here, Lynn Anderson, in the management department, because somehow I control our account because to sign up for events, and I'd love to get more Fox people to come. In fact, they have a very kick-ass holiday party. And it's on December 10th this year, Wednesday, December 10th, at Triple Bottom Line Brewing, and would love to have all you guys come. You get to network with other entrepreneurs around the city. So Lynn Anderson, contact me. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Lynn. I did what I thought was a pretty great job of thanking a bunch of different people earlier who helped make this possible, mainly on the front end. There are a number of people that made this all possible right here today on the back end. So I want to shout them out. Two of them have left for the day. They have exams and other stuff, but Tommy is one of our awesome student workers. He was back here helping the judges tally up all the votes. So thank you, Tommy. Saad is another student worker that was doing everything from check-in to making sure that everything was where it needed to be. And then we've got two others that are right here that I'm going to really embarrass. Jaden, who has been doing a little bit of everything, and Dasha, who has been doing an awesome job capturing everything for social media. So thank you both for being here and for doing everything. Now it is time for some awards. So the first award is the People's Choice Award. I can share that it goes to Potluck. So big round of applause to Potluck. Shannon actually had to leave to go to another pitch competition, so she is not here right now. But we will send her congratulations as well as her prize money. So thank you, Shannon, for Potluck. We are now going to move to second place in the undergraduate track, and that goes to Legacy Guard. Thank you so much. All right, next up we have second place in the upper track, and that goes to Inevitable. Thank you so much. We will now move on to first place in the undergraduate track, and that is La Cocheca Gibra. I think I said that right. I am so sorry. Did I do it? Okay. Fantastic. And then I am happy to say that both first place in the upper track, as well as our grand prize winner, is Zifa Health. I think, oh yeah, that's me. I think that's it. Thank you all for being here. Much, much appreciated. That's me. If you need to look me up, if you need to connect with us, I know that Lynn shared that she wanted folks to reach out to her. I can also connect you as well. We are here. I am Neil Johnson. I work in the Innovation Entrepreneurship Institute, as does Carl Kraus, who's back there. You all know Alan, so come grab one of us if you need something. But that is our program for this evening or this afternoon. It feels like evening. Thank you all so much and get home safe.